told reporters that Washington is urging Moscow to stop the violence. His remarks come as Ukrainian President Zelensky confirms that Ukraine has accepted a US-backed proposal for a full unconditional ceasefire, but claims Russia is refusing to comply. Zelensky also criticized the US for what he called a weak response in a deadly missile strike in his hometown Kirovig, which killed 18 people, including 9 children. This is what the Ukrainian president had to say.
Якщо припинення вогню, то безумовне і таке, що взагалі не дозволяє знищувати життя. Україна погодилась на пропозицію Америки. На пропозицію повного, безумовного припинення вогню. Путін відмовляється. Ми очікуємо реакції Сполучених Штатів. Досі її немає.
Meanwhile, Russia has intensified attacks across Ukraine, including in Kyiv, where explosions were reported overnight. Despite a temporary pause in strikes on energy infrastructure, both sides accuse each other of violations. Europe now, where Marine Le Pen has vowed to fight on after a court banned her from running for office for 5 years over misuse of EU funds. Speaking at a rally near the Eiffel Tower, she called the verdict a witch hunt and a political decision. Le Pen was found guilty in embezzlement and handed a 4-year prison sentence, 2 of which are suspended, plus a €100,000 fine. Let's listen to what Marine Le Pen had to say at the rally.
Celle de la brutalisation, chère à d'autres forces, mais celle pacifique du pasteur Martin Luther King pour les droits civiques des citoyens américains à l'époque opprimés et privés de droits. Nous entendons pour cela inviter tous les Français épris de liberté à s'engager à nos côtés dans une résistance pacifique et démocratique, une résistance populaire et
National Rally Party President Jordan Bardella called it a direct attack on democracy and warned it was meant to sideline Le Pen ahead of the 2027 presidential race. Though she's appealing the verdict, many in her party are already looking to Bardella as a possible successor. Here's what Bardella said during the rally.
Cette décision judiciaire injuste et scandaleuse prononcée contre Marine et visant à l'éliminer de la course à la présidentielle est d'abord une attaque directe contre la démocratie, une blessure pour des millions de Français patriotes. Ce n'est pas seulement absurde et révoltant, c'est une provocation face à laquelle il nous appartient de défendre notre honneur et de défendre jusqu'au bout notre innocence.
French government officials pushed back with Prime Minister Gabriel Attal, saying, "You steal, you pay," while accusing foreign leaders like Trump and Orban of interference. Despite the ban, the case may not be resolved before summer 2026, leaving Le Pen's candidacy technically still possible. A recent poll shows that most French voters believe the ruling was fair, but the political fallout is just beginning. Let's listen in to what the opposition leaders had to say.
L'extrême droite, pour ceux qui en doutaient, montre son vrai visage. Il ne suffit pas de porter des cravates à l'Assemblée nationale. L'extrême droite est un parti dangereux, dangereux pour la démocratie, dangereux pour l'état de droit. C'est un parti violent qui menace, y compris les juges quand les décisions prises par la justice ne leur conviennent pas.
A Palestinian-American teenager, 14-year-old Omar Mohammed Rabia, was shot dead by Israeli forces in the West Bank town of Termois Oya on Sunday. The Israeli military claimed the teens were throwing rocks and posed a threat to civilians. However, Palestinian officials condemned the incident as an extrajudicial killing, accusing Israeli forces of acting outside the law. This incident comes amid escalating violence in the West Bank, where Israeli military operations against groups have intensified. In Gaza, the Civil Defense Agency reported that Israeli airstrikes killed at least 44 people on Sunday, including 21 in the southern city of Khan Yunis. One strike hit a group near a bakery in Gaza City, killing 6 people. Israel's Prime Minister vowed a strong response to rockets fired from the Hamas-ruled territory, further worsening tensions in the region. The death toll from the airstrikes is expected to rise as the conflict continues to escalate. Staying in the Middle East now, where tensions remain high along the Israel-Lebanon border. The Israeli military confirmed it carried out an airstrike in southern Lebanon, killing 2 individuals in the town of Zibquin. According to the IDF, the strike targeted Hezbollah operatives who were attempting to rebuild what they described as terror infrastructure using an engineering vehicle. Lebanon's health ministry also confirmed the deaths, stating the individuals were operating a bulldozer at the time. The incident follows continued clashes along the border, with Israel's military leadership vowing to take offensive action while fortifying defences. The leader of Turkey's main opposition party called for expected elections to be held at latest in November, following the country's most widespread unrest in a decade. In the days following Imamoglu's arrest, the CHP drew tens of thousands of people into the streets of Istanbul and many cities in Turkey to denounce the coup d'etat. In response, Turkey has clamped down on the protests, with authorities detaining nearly 2,000 people, including several hundred students, journalists and young people. Özel said that the protests were the greatest censure in history, as people stepped out to show their massive disapproval against the then government's functioning. Here is what Özel had to say.
Cesaretin varsa geleceksin. Eğer istiyorsan Haziran'ın ilk haftasında takvimle. Yok, yetişemem. O zaman görev sürenin yarısında, en son Kasım ayında çıkacaksın ve adayımızla yarışacaksın.
Let's turn to the African continent now, where around 30 people have died in flooding in the Democratic Republic of Congo's capital, Kinshasa. The provincial health minister has confirmed on Sunday. Torrential weekend rains caused the river to overflow, sweeping through homes and cutting off roads. With Kinshasa's population of 17 million left reeling, many neighbourhoods remain without power or water. Governor Daniel Bumba blamed illegal housing and warned of potential evictions. Let's listen in to what locals had to say.
Il y a des boutiques à la carte biloko nyonso bebi. Il y a des véhicules biloko nyonso bebi. Bandako kuei batu bakufi. Batu bakangami. C'est pour ça na drone bo matsa drone bo mande batu bakangami na bandako ti likolo bato. Et comme il y a individu abimisi boa tunde to mo futa pona kolanda batu sumele.
Hydrologist Dr. Raphael Shimanga noted that long-term human impact had weakened the river's capacity to hold floodwaters. The disaster adds pressure on the country, already battling M23 rebel violence in the east, where over 7,000 have died this year alone. We move over to Europe now, where a manhunt is underway after 3 bodies were discovered in a residential building in Wheatfield, a village in western Germany. The victims, a family consisting of a 47-year-old man, a 44-year-old woman and a 16-year-old boy, were found after the suspect fled the scene. Police have warned local residents to stay at home and avoid picking up hitchhikers. A special task force and a police helicopter have been deployed in the search, which will continue overnight. Wheatfield, with a population of around 2,200, is on high alert, and the local mayor expressed shock over the tragic event, saying that he never imagined such violence in his small community. We move to the Indo-Pacific now, where South Korea is preparing for a snap presidential election, with the cabinet expected to finalise June the 3rd as the official polling date. This comes just days after President Yoon Suk-yeol was removed from office by the Constitutional Court for violating his duties. Yoon had declared martial law in December and mobilised troops to stop parliamentary proceedings, an act that led to his ouster. According to South Korean law, a new election must be held within 60 days of the president's removal. While the June the 3rd date has been widely reported, officials say it will only be official once declared by acting President and Prime Minister Han Duck-soo. The cabinet is set to meet Tuesday to approve the election date, which would also be a national holiday. We move to the US now, where a second child has died from measles as an outbreak of the highly contagious virus continues to grow in western Texas. The school-aged child was not vaccinated, had no underlying health conditions, and was in hospital suffering complications from the infectious disease. In a statement posted on social media, U.S. Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. confirmed the child's demise. He also paid a visit to the epicenter of Texas's still growing measles epidemic. The same day, a funeral was conducted for the second child. The US has recorded more than 600 cases of measles so far this year, nearly 3 times as many as the 285 cases that the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention recorded all of last year. Many of this year's cases were recorded in unvaccinated people and are related to the outbreak that began in western Texas. Cases in New Mexico, Oklahoma and Kansas are likely linked to the original outbreak, public health experts say. We stay in the US with more news. Flooding across the US, South and Midwest worsened, threatening communities already reeling from days of heavy rain and wind that have killed at least 18 people. From Texas to Ohio, officials scrambled to shut off utilities, close roads and protect homes with sandbags. In Frankfort, Kentucky, rescuers used inflatable boats to navigate flooded streets as the Kentucky River swelled, expected to crest at a record level on Monday. The ongoing rain could cause further flooding, with more severe weather expected across Kentucky, Tennessee and Alabama. Authorities are also warning of potential tornadoes in parts of the southeast. The storms have left dozens of locations at major flood stages, with evacuations underway in affected towns. We move to South America now, where in Brazil, supporters of